Thank you for coming up to ask a couple of questions. I want to make sure that I'm operating on good data. Did you did Blue Cross Blue Shield actually lose money providing coverage to this population through the private option, or what we now call Arkansas Works, during the last plan year?
We began losing money middle of last year on this block of business, and we continue to see a loss on this block of business this year.
You have an estimate on how much, what the total amount of the loss to Blue Cross Blue Shield was during the last plan year?
I do not for that block of business, but I can get that for you, Senator.
Would you say, do you have an estimate? I was hearing as much as 60 million.
60 million is the projected loss for this current year for that block of business.
Do you happen to know, and again, I'm trying to get this in a manageable form, was the loss that you experienced previously greater or less than the 60 million you project going forward?
It was less.
It was less.
Yes, sir, and part of that is because there were different variables. Part of our loss, for example, was attributed to the retro terminations that occurred, the large number that occurred mid-year, mid-calendar year last year. So moving forward, we don't expect there to be the large number of retro terminations mid-year. Because remember, insurance carriers price for example, for 2017, we were pricing, trying to set our rates much earlier this year.
Well, with that level of losses for a company like Blue Cross Blue Shield in Arkansas, how do you justify continuing to provide coverage when you know you're incurring such substantial losses?
Well, we made those points to the insurance department, and obviously it was a very difficult business decision that we had to make to decide to remain in the marketplace. I think it's fair to say that because the filing process took us to August, we did not think it was doable for us to make any other decision for next year, but to accept what the department was willing to give us and to have to make adjustments moving forward. And hopefully, the trends will level out, but right now we don't see that happening. But it was a business decision, Senator, and obviously that'll be reassessed moving forward.
Well, my experience in business is that you cannot continue to make decisions that are causing you to lose money at the rate that this is.
I would say our board would agree with you wholeheartedly, sir.
So it's very interesting to me because really, at the end of the day, there is nothing that compels you to offer this coverage. Is that not correct?
That is correct, except that the way the state law is written, if we chose to pull out of the market at this late date for next year, we would potentially be out of the market for 5 years. And, if this decision was put before us earlier in the year, we may have had a different decision made, but it was August, and open enrollment is in October, or November, I'm sorry. So it was the decision we made with the facts that we have when we had to make it.
You bring up an interesting point, Mr. Chairman. I think I'll stop my questions on this line, but I think it's something that I would be interested in talking more with you about and your organization, just for the purposes of making sure that we have a good understanding. What of the companies that decided not to participate with this population, are they precluded from offering private plans in the state of Arkansas now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Does anybody know the answer to that question? Because I'm actually would be surprised that companies are not allowed to offer private plans just because they choose not to participate in Arkansas Works. Is there
It's the
anybody here that?
exchange. It's,
Oh,
the statute is the exchange, and I believe I have the statute number, but, if someone from the department's here.
Chairman, I'd be interested in knowing that, just for purposes of clarity for us. But my point in asking the questions is that substantial losses, and I can't imagine, and I don't even feel comfortable asking any company to lose money at that rate in our state. I don't know how you stay in business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Max, can I ask you a question? It seems to me that the only way out of this situation is to ask CMS to increase what is the rate at which they will accept the program. And we have not done that to your knowledge, correct?
That is correct.
So if we ask CMS and say, look, the reality is, 50% more in Texas, 50% more in Oklahoma, 40% more in Alabama, we think we can do it for a third of their jack-ups in the rates. But we need you to bless this, CMS, so that the program can proceed at pace. That's really the only way to square this circle that is any realistic chance of happening. Is that a fair assessment, or am I missing something?
Well, I think it's a fair assessment from our perspective based on the experience we've seen with regard to the cost.
But there's really no way to get the cost down besides so-called wringing our hands and hoping that somehow something crests, which is not a good strategy.